How's it going, everyone? This is Mike. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a response to a community chat that was introduced by my friend Ian, All Things Film. And he asked the question, if we were going to be a film director, what kind of films would we make? Okay? So, and I have to admit right off the bat that I've never thought about being a film director. I have no imagination or creativity in that direction at all. If I had been a little more, I should say a lot more outgoing and adventurous when I was very young, I think I would have tried acting, even just amateur stuff in school and community and all that. I didn't even think about that until many, many years later, and I was taking an aptitude test in college because I was in my late 20s when I was going to college, and everything, all the answers to all these questions pointed toward something artistic, and it just suddenly popped in my head. I said, God, I wish I had had the guts to try to be an actor, just to try it. So anyway, but that's a long, long time ago. What kind of film would I direct if I were going to direct? I think that I would want to be a documentary filmmaker. James Higgins said the same thing, that he would be interested in making documentary films. Um, I saw two excellent documentaries just recently that I was so very impressed and very moved by. One was about David Crosby, the musician. It was called David Crosby, um, Remember My Name. And just a few nights ago, I went to see a documentary about the life and career of Linda Ronstadt. It was called Linda Ronstadt, The Sound of My Voice. I was so drawn into these films. I mean, I like both of these artists very much anyway, but just the way they were constructed with the old film clips from 40, 50 years ago and interviews and things like that, old performances interspersed with the artists and their contemporaries talking about their lives today and where they came from and all that. It was wonderful. I would love to be able to do something like that, put something like that together. I think being able to do research and find these obscure old photographs and interviews and uh, I just find that really fascinating. So I think that's the direction I would like to go in. I was thinking about another documentary I saw years ago. It was a film that starred Al Pacino. I think he may have directed it as well. I can't be sure. It was a film called Looking for Richard, in which he was trying to put together a stage performance of Shakespeare's Richard III, and the documentary was all about him and the other actors and the other people involved in making this, in getting this started. Um, Going through readings of the play and having discussions and disagreements and all that. And also they had people talking about Richard III and its history. And I haven't seen that in years. That was back in 1998, but that was a fascinating documentary. I found it on YouTube last night, so I might. I didn't watch it again, but I might watch it on YouTube. Anyway, so I think that's what I would like to do. If I were going to do something like a horror film, it would have to be a very dark, gothic, black and white film. Something along the lines of The Innocents, which came out in 1961, a film that was almost totally without violence. It was all done with atmosphere and fascinating cinematography and certainly good performances. And you also need a very creepy story, and that qualifies as a creepy story, definitely. So that's something I would like to do if it was a horror film, or something along the lines of The Haunting, which came out in 1963, also in black and white. Yeah, that was one of the best. Again, without violence, because I would not want to make a violent film. I don't even like to watch. I don't even like to watch violent films. Um, I don't seek them out, but I do watch films with violence. But it's not my cup of tea. If I were going to make a film in color, I would like to make a film that kind of like Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation from the year 1974, which was in such a muted kind of color that it was almost insignificant. It was a color film that, and I don't know if he intended to do this, but when I look at it, it's a color film that looks like it could just as easily be in black and white. It's almost like watching a black and white film. The color is so washed out and so muted. That is a fascinating film to look at. So I think that I wouldn't want to make some bright, colorful musical or love story, even though I like to watch films like that sometimes. But yeah, that's what I would do if I were a filmmaker, which probably is not going to happen. But then, never say never, right? Okay, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think.